Hello everyone and welcome to our new video. I'm Dinsmore Sim. This is the start of, or should I say rather the end of our mini-series in Ark Survival Ascended on the island map, and we are now moving on into Pathway to Ascension. So this is going to be our series that follows us all the way from the end of our Little 5 mini-series and all the way up to completing the island map. So do stay with us, there's going to be lots of content in this series, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, since we have started exploring the island, this has been a brand new game. In the first 5 episodes I wanted to go into quite a bit of detail about the game setup and some of the interactions and things you might want to think about in the early game. Now that we've got a base established and we've got our first dino, hey Perry, although Perry, as we learnt, is a female, so let's change you to Polly, not that it really matters. And you can see we've got a level there actually, so I'm going to level her up. To be honest, the Parasaur's probably not going to last too long for us. We're going to be looking at upgrading. And since we've got a trike in our local area, that is probably going to be our next upgrade. So, what we're going to do in this series is continue in the Ark and hopefully work our way all the way to Ascension. We're going to take our time with it. We're going to be exploring new bases, new dinos, moving around on the map. If you haven't checked already, at the time of making this video, we were in the process of uploading a new video of our second map on the centre, and the centre island, the centre map, sorry, is quite similar to the island, and so we're going to be using that as our sandbox, bringing you over to that map every once in a while and continuing our progression to Ascension on this map. So I'm hoping between the two it should give lots of variety in the gameplay. Do leave some comments for us. Very happy to focus on things that you have particular questions about, but we're still going to be explaining things as we go and focusing each time on a certain goal. So, since we're properly settled now and we have a house, I thought the first thing that might be quite nice is to do a little bit more full exploration. So we're going to take our new dino and we're going to have a proper wander around the map. So we're going to be interacting with lots of new dinos that we've not seen before. We're just going to start to get an idea as to how we develop. At the moment I've just seen I haven't got any food. Let me have a look. Yeah, I don't have any food, so I'm just going to go back, get some food, and then we will continue. Okay, so we have gone back, got some food, just done a couple of more interactions at the base, dropped off what materials we don't need. If you haven't seen this dino before, this is the Titanosaur, I believe. No, it's a Brontosaurus. So they're really good for berry collection. They do a massive kind of sweeping movement with their tail and pick up loads of berries. They're okay. I think, again, really depends what it is you're wanting to develop within your play style. Certainly in other run-throughs I've tried to tame as many of the different creatures as possible. I think on this game, on this map, oh, my dino has run away, probably because I was attacking this. What was I saying? Yeah, on this map, I'm definitely going to be trying to explore as much as possible about all the different dinos. So we will get to those, but it's not going to be as important right now. I can see that there's another drop, so we're just going to have another quick look down here, see if that's actually landed, and it has. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to continue up the hill here and see if we can find some other dinos to interact with. Okay, so look at that. Mastercraft Carbonomiz? Mastercraft cloth. We're using fibre now, so not so helpful. But those other things are, and I've said in previous episodes, I always like to collect everything and start to build that within the base. For the moment, we're going to simply continue on. So if we go back to our map, we've got a fair bit we can work around here. Let's try and get to the top of this little mountain bridge as well. See if there's anything in there. And then we're going to make our way back around here through to the end. So we'll be on the opposite side of the island and then we'll cross back over to the base. And we're just going to see what we can interact with. I think at this stage, just as a recap, we have quite a few more levels. So I'm going to put a bit more into our melee, a little bit more into health, and I'm going to start upgrading weight. I tend to upgrade weight a little bit later because, of course, in the early survival you just wanted to make sure you can survive the day. But we're going to have to increase the weight so that when we start doing a bit more building, we can build more items. And of course, picking up more things and moving around is going to be important as well. Let's just keep a bit of an eye out for things. Now we might come across raptors. That's definitely going to be something to be wary for. But we're looking okay at the minute. By the way, a raptor would be a great first dino to have if you wanted something a bit more proactive to jump around on, because Perry doesn't do much, it just runs away. So we've got the Titanoboas here trying to attack me. Let's get rid of them. And I've lost Perry. I have no idea where he's gone. Let's just kill these guys first. These are really good for chitin. Chitin is going to be a really good armor upgrade. Let's get rid of this guy as well. And I could get the baby, but I'm going to just leave that for now. So, a couple of things that also really help in the early game here. Oh dear, something else is about to attack me. Don't like the sound of that. Oh, okay, it's just a... Oh, it's a snake actually. I was going to say, I thought that sounded a bit more worrying. Now, I've been tranquilized, so I have a feeling that I'm going to lose consciousness in a minute. If you have a look, my torpor's dropping. So you've got to be a little bit careful. This is not so much of a concern with snakes, but there are some other creatures called Trudons, and they tend to attack really quickly, and they really damage your torpor. If you're not careful, you get knocked out, you're unconscious, and then you literally can't do anything, and they will just keep attacking you until you're dead. But I think on this part of the island, we don't need to worry. Now, do you remember I was talking about Phiomias? That is a Phiomia. So, as an early game tame, you could certainly get one, but they're, to be honest, pretty useless. You can use them later for crops and harvesting. Well, not harvesting, more for gardening. They create a lot of poop, which you can use for fertilizer. And some people use the Phiomias for that. But as a starter dino, they're not really particularly exciting, so I don't tend to use them. Now we've got another one of these seagulls again. I might just kill this so it's done. Okay, it's not actually anywhere near me, so I'm going to ignore that. Let's just see where we are on the map. Okay, so we're actually doing quite well. We want to move a bit further inland. So, as I suspected, I'm now getting attacked by him. I'm actually going to put this dino on passive. Let's just come back up here. Getting attacked by everything at the minute. I've got to say, this is reasonably dangerous, just running off into the jungle, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of you that have tried it. And so I think for this series, it's definitely something I want to explore on the channel. And again, feel free to share in the comments. You might have done this already. You might be doing similar to what I've done, and you're going in with a parasaur. Can you see I'm nearly at the end of here? Oh, there's another seagull. You might have got a trike, so we saw those trikes earlier. You might be on barefoot and just be travelling around. So again, there's no right or wrong, but you can hear there's more things coming to attack me. That sounds, yep, like it was something nearby. And of course I could still be working on all of the crafting elements, picking up things that I might need, but I'm going to hit weight cap for both the parasaur and for myself if I'm not careful, so just see how you get on. You might be starting to get a bit more of an impression for the different dinos now. We've not come across one of these before. They aren't typically aggressive. I think it's attacking these little... I always get the name wrong. Oh no, actually it's a Titanoboa, so this was the snake again. Or what we saw a moment ago. The name will come back to me. I'm probably going to put it on screen. They are really good for collecting seeds. So if you're wanting to grow crops and make any harvestable crops for food or for kibble later in the game, then they're quite good to use. But some people actually quite like them as an early tame because they're actually quite fast. Not particularly strong, but they're certainly not too bad for a first tame. And I think for a first tame, you're wanting something that can move around, isn't too slow, has a little bit of health so that you can survive some attacks. So you can see here I'm already collecting loads of stuff. Probably too much stuff really. So I want to just reorganise myself slightly. I've got about half of the weight here on the parasaur. Things like saddles tend to weigh quite a bit. You can see the raw prime meat is decaying quite quickly, so that is going to go into spoiled meat fairly soon. The others I'm going to keep with me. The rest of these aren't particularly heavy, but I like to move those out of my inventory so that if I have to get off the dinosaur, I'm not over encumbered and I can carry on. So if we look on the map, we've still got a little bit more to explore here. I'm going to go down and then right. So we're actually going a bit more into the swamp area, which is why we're seeing all of this, by the way, is the swamp. And this is where the Titanoboas are. Swamp's actually quite a dangerous biome, so I wouldn't suggest going into that straight away. Now, what I did then was totally by accident, but this will happen to you at some point, so just be aware that if you're playing on PC, if you press E by accident, then you will jump off your mount, and you could do what I very nearly did, which was by the edge of a cliff, press E, jump off and die. And what's worse is when you get a flyer and then you're mid-air and you by accident press E and you dismount, you will just literally jump off your flyer and fall to your death. So these things can happen quite easily. But I quite enjoy this. This is quite enjoyable to just wander around. As I say, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking because literally anything could come out and get us. Okay, here's this guy we bumped into earlier. Let's go and check him. He's not going to attack us. And yeah, so the iguana done. Level 25. But what's quite good is they're quite big for the beginning tame. And they feel quite quick when they're running. So if you're wanting something to just get around on in the early game, that could be a good option. to be careful about harvesting near them. If I were to hit him, then he would aggro to me. Not that he's particularly high level, and I've been really fortunate in that previous episode I got this pike. I haven't explained much about levels of individual items, so I might just talk about that now. We did talk about the apprentice hide, and that is an upgrade from the basic level. So when you create anything, let's see if I can't remember what button it is. Yeah, if you press Q on PC, it will actually explain all of the items, and when you craft anything, it's crafted as primitive. And we actually found an apprentice hide hat. So all of these things can be upgraded until Ascendant level, and that's the highest level. There are a couple of things to be mindful of, but we're not going to worry too much about them at this stage. It's things you can be thinking about doing within the crafting skill and creating higher level armor from blueprints. At the moment we're just going to find these out in the world and out in drops, so we might come across more of those. But I was pretty lucky with the journeyman pike, so I got quite a good beginner level. You can see that's 168% of base level stats for the pike, so you get a good boost on that. Higher ones, of course, will be even better. So we're going to keep going for now. See again when we are on the map. Okay, I've got a little bit more to do yet. Not got any major plan here. I just want to continue a little bit more exploring of the very first part of the island where I am. This can often be quite good when you've just started, so that you get an idea for the main creatures near you. Remember, when you die and you spawn in, you can spawn in different areas. Different areas are easier or harder. This area is one of the easier levels, and so I shouldn't be coming across things like T-Rexes, but I may come across certainly trikes, possibly even a Therizina. And Therizina's probably the worst one to come across in these kind of jungle biomes. They are pretty big, they're aggressive, and they can kill you pretty quickly. For the moment, I'm focused on killing some of the turtles like I'm doing, and there's a reason for this. Because they drop keratin, and keratin is needed for your first flyer saddle. And so I would say there's a couple of things you want to be thinking about in this part of the early game. Certainly surviving, thinking about what resources you might be able to collect. You can see there's quite a lot of things moving around in the swamp there. That's actually, I believe, a Sarco. It's one of the crocodile tames there are. There's a Deinosuchus, which is the much bigger cousin, and definitely don't want to be taking those on at this early stage. These guys are pretty common. You see them in most biomes, definitely a lot in the jungle biome. Dilophosaur, and the main thing to worry about here is just that poison that spits in your eyes. Because then you really can't see where you're going. As you can see already, I've got 2 extra coming up behind me. So, if I'm not careful, I am going to die in this region. My Parasaur is also fleeing. You can attack with a Parasaur, so I've not done that yet. I could show you that. It's not super strong, so it's not doing as much damage as I was doing with the pike. It can sometimes be a good option. Don't forget to pick up hide and meat along the way. So these sorts of excursions can be really beneficial, even if you don't have a full idea as to what it is you're trying to get from it. So you can see there I can't really get back up, so I'm going to probably have to reverse around. If I continue this way, I'm going to end up in the swamp, which I don't want to. Of course, you could do that. You could decide to travel through the swamp. I know if I do that, I'm going to be coming across all of these stronger dinos, and it's definitely something I want to be careful about at this stage. So I think, because of where I am on the map, I've got to go all the way back round now. So I might just do that first, work my way out of here, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've managed to find the path that I wanted. I'm back here on the map if you have a look, and I'm working my way up to the top. I want to just walk around this top part first, see if there's anything particular that I might want to take here. Again, it's always quite good to just check on levels of dinos as you go, because there might be a particular dino that you think about maybe later on that you want to come and get. Of course, as long as you're staying relatively close to them and they remain in render, then those dinos could be attacked, so they might not stay there 100%. But of course at the minute I don't really have sufficient technologies to be able to tame things in a secure way, so I'd rather just wander around, given that it's the first go. The good thing is I'm getting loads of items and things. Let me just see if I can get my quite where that went. Sometimes when it dies in the jungle like this, you just have to kind of hit around and hope to get it, but it doesn't seem I can find it. I think I'm doing okay in the middle part of the map here. Could do with just coming over to the right, so I'm going to do that. A bit more levelling up. And again, all of this is really good because I'm levelling up this parasaur. The more points that I get, I can be putting into health, getting a little bit stronger. I might decide to come across another parasaur that I want. And you know what? It's actually really nice to spend some time in the early part of the game before you get onto the much bigger dinos, so don't feel you've got to rush that part of the game. So I'm going to see if I can go any further here. Just be aware that my weight now has started to impact my speed, so I'm not moving quite as fast as I used to. I'm going to think about dropping some things that I don't necessarily need. So, since there's nothing around, I might do that now. Let's see what Polly's picked up, if there's anything particular she needs to drop. So again, she's got a lot of these main things, but also berries. And the point is, with berries, you can always get berries. They're really easy to collect. Sometimes what I will do is, I'll take out most of the berries, and I'll leave maybe just a few. So we talked about major berries before. If you check the Dodo decks, you'll see that there's quite a few those that are used, so they're pretty common. The rest of these could keep some if we like, but they are quite heavy, so even having done that, you'll see I've got nearly half of my weight back and now I can run again. That's all I really need, so I'm happy with that. So I will explore a little bit more around here, but in terms of new things we're going to find, I don't think there's much more within our immediate area. As I say, I'm going to stay quite clear of the swamp for now, so I'm going to continue around this area a little bit more, and I will join you again when I'm maybe back on this side. I think this will end up being a cliff I can't do too much about, so if there's anything else interesting I will come back and show you, otherwise I will see you in a second. So I did want to just show you where I've dropped down to. So I was walking around for a good while, didn't see anything else of particular note, but I've just come down a little bit further into the jungle here. And one thing you might want to think about even at the very beginning here is about a possible base location. We're not going to be staying in our beach hut for too long. I always feel that the first base is... Oh, that's a cool colour by the way. the first base is always just something to get you set up. Might be something to develop later. So this could actually be a really nice area to build. It's pretty flat. Could also build in wood if you like. I think wood in a jungle biome looks really nice. So that might be something you wanted to do. I mean, you could get set up here straight away if you like. Challenge is, as you progress through the game, you will need other resources. And there are certain resources that you'll need on other areas of the map. And so you'll probably find you end up building more than one base, and you'll develop that over time. So there's no right or wrong. Have a go and see what you want to build and what suits your playstyle. As I say, always that opportunity to get more resources and then to go back to the base. So I'm going to do a little bit more of that, try and get to the top of my weight cap on all these things, and then I'm going to head back to our little base, so I'll see you there in a minute. So I wanted to just come back onto the beach biome to show you a couple of things. As you can see, there's lots of seagulls around here, which is a bit annoying. I'm just going to go and kill this one. I can also hear that there is a loot drop that is coming, and actually that's got a red marker around it. The only challenge is I've dropped down the side here and I don't think I can get round there. Again, you have a look on the map here, probably have to go all the way back round. So I'm going to just have a think about what I want to do next. I am at the end of this beach here. What I really like about the map is you've got loads of really cool places, so you could even set up a small little almost cave area at the beach if that's where you first wanted to set up. What I'll probably have to do is go into the water. As you can see, there's not loads here, so it's probably okay to swim round. But then having said that, look at what's here. So that is a shark, and they are aggressive, as you may well expect. This is, by the way, lots of fibre, so for the early game this is a great way of collecting fibre. So I might just do this for a little bit and see how it feels being in the water here, because as soon as he sees me he's going to aggro to me and try and attack me. Because what I was thinking of doing was swimming around with Polly, but if I think I'm going to get attacked, then I might be tempted to go the long way around. So this is getting pretty close. I think to make this easier, I'm not going to take Polly with me. So I'm going to go and have a look, maybe have a wander around. If I end up getting that loot drop, I'm going to return. Let's just see where it drops. I think it's going to be too high for me to scale. Sometimes you can jump around these things, but for that, that's definitely going to be too high. And it's going to be a big detour to go all the way back round. So let me have a quick look and I will be back with you. So as it happens, I didn't need to go too long. And this presents a perfect opportunity to talk about explorer notes.
Coelodonta utilicero is a friendly herbivore, common to the tundra and grassland regions of the island. It is a large and dangerous creature, though it seems fairly trusting of the fauna around it. Once attacked, Coelodonta begins charging towards its foe. It builds up momentum as it charges, and depending on its ultimate impact speed, the results can be terrifying. With enough room to charge, it can even skewer the largest creatures in just one gore. Despite how powerful Coelodonta are, many tribes still hunt them extensively due to their unique resources. Its horns can ground into a highly arousing powder, and its thick fur can support many insulating outfits, making the Coelodonta in high demand. Even less advanced tribes use packs to hunt them down, though at significant peril. When not being hunted for its horns, Coelodonta makes an impressive beast of burden. Its ability to take on far larger opponents provided sufficient charging room, as well as its sizable load capacity, make it a solid addition to any trader party or gathering expedition.
So these are the explorer notes, and as I said in the earlier series, I haven't collected all of these because they're buried all around the map. And you could go on the wiki, you could look where they are, but I really like just finding them as you explore, because it encourages you, I think, to do that a little bit more so. So these are really nice. They give you a bit more information about each of the Tames and what maybe some advantages are. You get these nice pictures on the left that give you a bit more help. So continue to do those, continue to explore them. You can see it's not like I've got loads of explorer notes in here. There's always more around. You get the bonus, like we talked about previously. So one advantage would be to use that. But if you remember, we've got our sights on this. And I think, with a bit of luck, I can just go here. And I've got to be a bit careful. Very good. And I died. This is why you don't wander around in the middle of the jungle. So, another perfect opportunity to show you what happens. I took the mick a little bit then. I could see that was a fairly large jump, and I thought I'd take the risk. So, because I've already planned slightly ahead, I've got my simple bed, I can respawn. The issue now is, I'm not going to be near my dino. So, I could respawn there, I can click on that, and then I will be back in at my base. But I'm going to wake up now with no weapons. And with no real idea how to get back. You can see Polly is just on the other side of the map. It's actually not that far away. So you know what? We're going to see if I can do a quick run to get her. Now remember, there is piranha in here. So I might run the risk of getting attacked now by lots of fish. But let's see how we get on. Remember, there was also a shark at the bottom there. So that might also happen. We've got the death marker as well, so they're roughly in the same place, but they are on the other side. I've got a couple of dinos I'm going to have to try and dodge. You've got this one that wants to steal all my stuff. And there's another one here, and they tend to track you quite a while, so I'm probably going to get the second one doing that as well. It's going to be a bit annoying. Let's see if it's still behind me. It is. So I think I can probably get to all my items quickly because I fell down at this side, but you can see the challenge of just thinking about where you're going to die, because I've fallen in a really awkward place, and that could mean I can't get my stuff back. Luckily I can, so it's okay. So I just click on the inventory, I just transfer all. You can actually cut yourself up for a little bit of meat, why not? And then all I really have to do is equip all of my armour again. Some of this might need upgrading again, but for the moment I'm not going to worry about it. And because I'm not particularly stressed about that loot drop in the end, I'm going to just see. Yeah, you've got to make sure to kill these, because look, he's taken my water jar. So because I don't need anything else, I'm going to see if I can swim round. I think that's the shark there. Ah, it looks like it's been killed. And it's not actually that deep, so that's great. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this. A little bit more of this fibre. Can probably get that turtle. Because remember, the turtle's got equipment I could get. Would be quite nice to get. I'm not going to overly stress about it. So we're going to go back to the original plan, which is to swim over. And even dinos like this, it's obviously not meant for swimming, but you know, you can paddle along. Ollie seems perfectly happy doing that, and it wasn't too deep. What I might do as well though is come off and get the meat from the shark, since that already looks like it's dead. The other thing to be mindful of is you do get other collectible items in the game. These often come from what they call alphas, and alphas are bigger versions of some of the dinos. You can see here I actually got a new item which you won't have seen before, which is prime fish meat. So I'll show you that in a second. Not got loads of oxygen left, so just need to be a bit careful of that. You do have a little bit of time, but it just starts to drop your health really quickly. So just be mindful of that if you're swimming. And we're going to have a quick look in the inventory and see what it is that I have got. So can you see here, raw prime fish meat. One other thing, these specimen implants are saved per person, so because obviously I've died and I've transferred everything from the inventory, it transfers over the old specimen implant. As far as I'm aware, you don't need it. I've never needed it before, so I just drop that and then it's nothing to worry about. So there we go. So actually there was quite a lot that happened in this first episode of exploring our little area. So I could walk a bit further down the beach. This would get me almost back to where I was on the opposite side, and then I can cross the water quite neatly. So let's just do that together, and then once I'm back, I'm going to unload all of my materials back into the house. And so I would say this is probably an important first step in the early game in Ark. At the moment, you want to be thinking about new tames, new animals. Oh, I'm going to have to kill that probably. As I say, the immediate upgrade would be a flyer. That would give me opportunity to explore a lot more of the map and to not get attacked by these annoying creatures. Again, he's taken my water bottle, so these can get really annoying. So they're a bit like the seagull. Both of them end up being quite irritating. Just one other thing to show you actually, since we're coming across them. These pebbles, can you see? I'm actually getting metal from them at the moment because this is only a stone pickaxe. I'm not getting much from it, but these give you a much higher probability of getting metal. This is a great way in the early game of getting metal before having to go more towards mountainous areas where the majority of the metal nodes are. So that's a great way to begin with harvesting metal. And so, just as we've said in the other episodes, the tech tree is probably going to be the easiest way to think about what it is you want to do next. And if we take a quick look at our tech tree, let's see what we can do. I've got 10 more experience from doing that. I'm only on day 3, and already I'm up to level 58. So if I do that first, and then we're going to look at the engrams and see what other things we can do. And I could now start to be a bit more strategic about what do I want. Stamina is going to help me to run, oxygen maybe to swim, food is self-explanatory, water the same, and weight. Melee damage is always going to be advantageous, so I like to put more points into that. Crafting skill, as I alluded to earlier, is really only when I'm going to start creating better equipment using blueprints, and mainly for blueprints you're going to need these and get these from loot drops, from cave runs, from underwater caves and things, which again you won't have access to in the early game. So I tend to leave that alone, and fortitude we don't have any issue with. So a little bit more health I think will be fine, and I'm going to put a few more into weight. So 878 available. We saw that Biome, we could upgrade and get the Biome saddle. I'm not really going to use it. Spyglass I will need, and now that I've got plenty of engrams, I'm not worried about upgrading that. Again, this will all come down to your own playstyle. The I need to learn how to say this. Carbonemies. I could get that, but I'm not particularly worried about it. Wood, I'm not worried about that just for the minute. But again, I've got 800, so you know what? Let's just start doing that. That could definitely be the next things to think about. I've got a stimulant there that I could also create, so I could do that as well. Wood cage for prisoners. Well, you're not going to have prisoners in a single player, but it might be something you do otherwise. As I say, I've got Bob's Tall Tales, so I can get some of these other things. I'm just going to get all the wood. That was for the dolphin, so you could get that. A fish basket could also maybe get. And then you're really into the game. You're into playing it, deciding what the next steps are and what things you want to upgrade. So do that. Got loads here, so could think about getting the trike saddle if the trike is the next one I want to upgrade. I mean, you could literally just upgrade all of these, but again, depending which direction you want to go in, you might decide you want to get as far towards the higher parts of the map or the more difficult areas where some of the larger tames are, in which case you might not want to spend some of the engrams on these earlier items. So it's really down to you. It's going to come down to whether you want to work on building a really nice base and you want to get that set up. Do you want to do that near the beach? Do you want to do it in the jungle? Again, that might depend on the aesthetic that you're going for. Maybe you want to make a little tiki hut on the beach. Maybe you want to make a nice log cabin. I'm just going to check the level of this. I think always it's a good opportunity to be mindful of things landing, because you never know. Now it's level 25, which isn't a huge level, but since I don't have one already, and I will need one eventually, might as well just think about knocking him out. I'm going to kill this, because he will kill him very quickly. And then he will need some fish, but I already have fish, or raw meat. So I'm going to put some raw meat in there, because I'm not worried too much about the level. And I'm going to just allow him to start taming. So we're going to end it there, guys. Just a little bit of exploring at the beginning part of the base. I think the trike is definitely going to be an early tame to get for sure. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. It's been a selection of different things just to give you some ideas on how to get started. Keep playing, keep enjoying the episodes, like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. For now, explore, analyze, simulate, and I'll catch you next time.